Hi everybody, I am Nidhi and today we are going to learn how to save hours of work by learning how to leverage AI for drafting one of the most important agreements in the real estate market, a material supply agreement. But before delving into the topic, let us first understand what is a material supply agreement and what are its key clauses. So, a material supply agreement is basically a contract that is there between a buyer and the seller for supply of materials, right? These materials are typically used in the production of goods or services. Material supply agreements are legally binding and they outline the terms and conditions of the supply of materials. Now, what are these terms? So, these include quantity, quality, price, and delivery schedule of the materials. So, material supply agreement contains several key clauses, right? And they are tailored to the specific needs and the requirements of the parties that are involved. And some common clauses are also there, which I will explain later in the video. I will be teaching you how you can use Claude.ai to draft this agreement. So let us consider a scenario where involving a construction company, right? And let's say that the construction company is in New Delhi, India. Now, Company A, a well-established construction company in Delhi, is undertaking a large-scale commercial complex project. Now, they require a reliable supplier for high-quality steel beams for the project's structural framework. Company B is a reputed steel manufacturer who is located in Mumbai and they fit the bill perfectly, right? So Company A and Company B decide to enter into what? A material supply agreement. This will govern how the supply of steel beams will come for the project. The agreement will outline specific details of the transaction. It will ensure a smooth and successful collaboration. So the client here is Mr. Rajesh Sharma. He is the CEO of Company A and he reaches out to you, right? And you are a seasoned lawyer, of course. So in commercial contracts, you are going to help him out and you are the one who's going to draft a material supply agreement. But how do you do that with Claude AI? I will teach you in this video. So I'm going to share my screen and give you a stepwise process on how you can achieve it. Now, as you can see, step number 1 is to provide Claude with a specific role and jurisdiction. So what have I given? What is my prompt? Assume you are a lawyer practicing in Delhi, India. That's a very brief prompt that I have given. That's my step number 1. Step number 2 is that I ask Claude to prepare a requisition list. How does my prompt look like? I say, your job is to draft a material supply agreement for my client. Ask me 10 legal and 10 factual questions that you need to know to draft this agreement. That's a very specific prompt that I have given, and I've asked AI to ask me questions. This trick really helps. Do you see? Claude has generated a list of legal questions, and what are the questions I've produced, right? Question number 1, it asks me is, what is the applicable law that will govern the agreement? Indian Contract Act or specific state law, right? Are there any specific regulatory requirements or licenses needed for a type of materials being supplied? How will IP rights like patents, trademarks will be handled, right? Then what is the dispute resolution mechanism that you would prefer? Because this would help them in the boilerplate clause. So whether you would go for litigation or you would go for arbitration. Do you want to include any limitations of liability or indemnification? Are there any particular termination grounds that you want to be covered beyond breach of contract? How will force majeure events like natural disasters be addressed? Do you need any non-compete, non-solicit confidentiality for either party? And what will be the desired contract term for renewal? And finally, the last question is, are there any other unique legal issues that I should be aware of? So you see, to be able to draft the material supply agreement for me, Claude has asked me really relevant questions. Now my job here is to answer them really specifically. So that's what I do. I say the following, right? So I've just given a glimpse of my answers here. Question number 1 was applicable law, right? So I say the applicable law is the Indian Contract Act. We are going to follow that. Then are there any specific regulatory requirements? So I say no, because nothing for steel. How will IP be governed? So I say that ownership of the intellectual property shall not change or it will not be transferred from the owner. It will remain with the owner. Then I talk about dispute resolution mechanism. I say that we want to go for arbitration, no litigation in courts. And about clauses for limitations of liability, I say that yes, we want to incorporate an indemnity clause. Just by giving all the answers in the manner that I have given, I give another prompt to Claude. I say, that please draft the agreement basis the above points. So I've given you all my answers, but please draft an agreement for me based on those answers. And voila, it generates a draft, and let me show you how the draft looks like. Now, this is the final draft that I have received from Claude. The heading is material supply agreement, so the title is perfect. The material supply agreement is entered into the date and the place, both have been incorporated here. The names and details of both the parties appear here. Then recitals are also taken care of. So you can see that introductory clauses are really covered well. Then supplier shall supply to the buyer, and the buyer shall purchase from the supplier what? Steel beams, right? So we have defined as material, and we have given the delivery schedules in Exhibit A. Quality inspection. So material supplied by the supplier shall conform to quality standards. Then delivery clause is there. Then there is a price and payment clause that the buyer shall pay the supplier prices for the materials as are set forth in Exhibit C. Supplier shall submit invoices and the buyer shall make payment within so many days that you want to put. Then there is a clause for warranties. There is a clause for indemnification. You remember I did answer that yes, we need an indemnity clause, and it has incorporated that. So it says that the supplier shall indemnify, defend, and hold harmless the buyer from and against any and all claims, damages, liabilities, costs, and expenses arising out of or resulting from any defect in the materials or any breach of the agreement by the supplier. So very well done, Claude. Then it talks about term and termination. Moving on to governing law and dispute resolution. So you see, I did mention to Claude that I want to take recourse of arbitration. I don't want to go for litigation, and that is what it has done. It says any disputes arising out of or in connection with the agreement shall be settled amicably through good faith negotiation. That's fine. But if the parties fail to resolve the dispute within, let's say, 10 days, the dispute shall be referred to arbitration in accordance with the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So it has taken my prompt. Then there is a miscellaneous clause, a line for witnesses, and then there is space for signatures of the parties along with the relevant exhibits. So step number 5, like I have written, is to review the draft and tailor it to client requirements. Of course, it will not do 100% of the job, but definitely save you hours of work, and it will give you a draft like I just showed you. So definitely reduces all your workload, the number of hours you will put in, and give you a brilliant draft. I hope you liked this video, and let me know in the comments if you want any other topics that you want me to cover, and I would be happy to do so. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next time.